Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to discuss about constructors. To begin with, let us see what is a constructor. A constructor is a special type of method which is used to initialize an object. So, it is like any other ordinary method, but it has got a specific purpose, and that purpose is to initialize an object. So, how are these constructors called? A constructor is invoked implicitly or automatically whenever an object is created. So we need to understand that there is no need for an explicit call for a constructor. A constructor will be automatically called whenever an object is created. Now let us see how to create a constructor. This is the syntax for creating a constructor. Kindly note that the name of the class and the name of the constructor must be the same, and a constructor will not have any return type. So whenever we write constructors, you have to just specify the class name and then the parenthesis. The parenthesis may have parameters or no parameters, and then whatever code goes into the body of the constructor. So this is the syntax for creating a constructor. So the key points to be noted here are, the first one is name of the constructor and name of the class are the same. The second point is constructors will not have any return type. Now let us see our first example. Let us try to create a class called as student with two instance variables, say the register number of the student and the name of the student, and let us write a method for displaying these two values. Now let us go into the example. So I first give the keyword class and then give the name of my class as student. Now I create the first instance variable, which is register number, which is an integer variable. Then, as already informed, we are going to have our next instance variable as name, which is going to be a string variable. Then we are going to have a method display, which is going to give the register number and name of the student as output. So let's see how it is written. Now to write the main method, in the main method, I'm just going to create an object called S of type student. So I say student S equal to new student. So S is the object that is created, and then I end my program. Now as you can see in this program, there has not been any constructor specified, but you need to note that whenever this code goes through the compiler will automatically specify the constructor by default. Even though we don't write our constructor explicitly, the compiler will by default specify the constructor. So now when this code goes through the compiler, this is the code that will be generated. So the constructor, that is the red letters written there, that shows that the constructor called as student. See, the student is the name of the class. The name of the constructor is also student. And because we have not explicitly written the constructor, the compiler is automatically supplying the constructor. This constructor is a default constructor. So this is what the compiler will automatically do if there are no constructors specified in the program. So the point to be noted here is, here the constructor is not specified in the above program, but still the compiler supplies a default constructor. Hope you are clearly understood what a constructor is. Now let's move on to our next example, where we are going to show you how we can write a program with a constructor. So I'm going to take the same example that we took in the previous case, the same example, but now I'm writing a constructor. The constructor's name is student. It does not have any parameters, and then it has got two variables, instance variables being initialized to 10 and ABC. And again, we have got the display method, and in the main method, we are going to create the object of S, and then we try to invoke the display method through the object that is created. Now listen, what is going to happen now? Now, when is this constructor going to be called? Now, the point where S is created, that is when we say student S equal to new student, that is where the object S is created. So, whenever S is created here in this program, automatically the constructor student will be called. And when the constructor is called, the code within the constructor will be executed and register number will take the value 10 and the name variable will take the value ABC. Hence, when you execute this program, the output will be 10 ABC. So the point here to be noted is the constructor is invoked automatically when the object S is created. Now let's move on to the different types of constructors. We have two types of constructors. One is called as the default constructor. In other words, it is also called as a no argument constructor, which means this default constructor is a constructor without any arguments or parameters. The next type of constructor is called as a parameterized constructor. So from the name, we can understand that a constructor which has got either arguments or parameters, you call it as a parameterized constructor. Now let's see an example for a default constructor. We'll take up the same program that we took in example 2. In example 2, we had given a constructor for student where we gave the initial values as 10 and ABC for register number and name. So here this constructor that is shown here in red is called as a default constructor. Why is it called as a default constructor? It's because there is no parameter specified. This constructor does not contain any arguments or parameters, and that is the reason why it is called as a default constructor. So when this code goes through the compiler and it is executed, the output will be 10 ABC. Now we'll go in for an example for a parameterized constructor. We will take up the same example that we took up for a default constructor, but now I'm going to write a constructor with parameters. So look at the constructor that has been written with parameters. The constructor is student. It has got now two parameters. One is R and the other one is N. Now when you look at this constructor, right, you can clearly understand that this constructor is going to be called when you're going to create the object, right? So now see how the object is created. Look at this line. I say student S equal to new student and then two values are given. One is 10 and the other is ABC. So this 10 will be passed into R and this ABC will be passed into N. Because when S is created, we know that the constructor is going to be called. So this is the constructor that will be called. Hence, 10 goes into R and ABC goes into N. Therefore, register number will take the value 10 and name will take the value ABC. So hope you understood what a parameterized constructor is. So a parameterized constructor is nothing but a constructor with parameters or arguments, right? So this is the end of our explanation of constructors. In our next video, we will see about the super keyword. Thank you.